You're listening to Tapestry, a podcast by a music lover for music lovers. I'm your host, Kelly. Music is a thread that weaves a course throughout our lives. Join me on a journey to unravel that thread and bring you the stories behind what inspires musicians to create. Side note, Tapestry is an uncensored podcast. Don't say I didn't warn you. Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 56 of Tapestry, where today my guests are the Toronto-based progressive technical death metal band Apogean. I had all 5 members of the band here with me today, and we had a lot of things to talk about, including how they channeled pain and anger into their music, the expectation of modern musicians to be a jack of all trades, gear acquisition syndrome, the dangers of overthinking, metalheads and cats, and what inspired their Bloodborne-and-Cthulhu-inspired debut release, Into Madness, which just released on June 11th. Here's a little bit of a track off of that EP called Chrono. Have all 5 members of Apogean here from Toronto. They're joining me on this wonderful Monday night. And for the listeners' ease, I'm going to run down the list and have them each say their name and what instrument they play, and so you can get a sense of their voice. So I'm going to read off the list. Why don't we start off with Jacob?
Hey, I'm Jacob. I play drums. I hit things with sticks.
Excellent. And we have Rob.
Hey, I'm Rob. I play bass guitar.
Okay, what about Dexter?
Hey, what's up? I'm Dex, and I play guitar.
Okay, and then we have Gabriel.
I am Gabriel, and I play guitar.
And last but not least, Spike.
Hi, I'm Spike, and I do the vocals.
Okay, excellent. That went so much more smoothly than with video. So thank you guys for your patience. And now we can get into the fun stuff. So I would say you guys are pretty much a technical death metal band, progressive tech death band. I know that's splitting hairs to a lot of people, but
my God, the pigeonhole.
So all the subgenre nerds out there, yes, that's how I would describe them. And I know we're mostly doing this interview to talk about your upcoming EP that is coming out on June 11th. I will ask you guys plenty of questions about that are more specific as we go, but because I tend to like to get to know a little bit about each of the band members and how you guys all work together, I tend to ask everybody a little bit about their own musical history and kind of how they got started on their own instruments. So maybe I will do the call everybody out thing because there are 5 of you. So
I like it.
Not to put you on the spot, Jacob, but you are first on the list in my recording program right now. So why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about your musical history, and then maybe at the end, I'll ask you guys how you all came together and formed your band.
Cool. I grew up listening to bands like System of a Down and just ridiculous, like heavy bands for a young kid from my brother. I got really into video games, started playing a game called Rock Band, which got me into drums. And then I got into a band called Between the Buried and Me. And then I started playing death metal, and the rest is history, really. I moved to Toronto a couple years ago, met these guys, and yeah.
Okay, cool. Pretty straightforward. Good history there. Rob, what about you?
You can't tell because there's no picture, but I'm a typical Asian that was forced to play piano when I was a kid, and I hated it with every hair on my body, which is not a lot. And and at a certain age, I think around maybe 10 or 12, I really wanted to pick up playing guitar. I don't remember why. I know that my brother played guitar a little bit too, and then I was playing guitar for many, many years. And then, I think in my 20s, I realized that I wasn't good enough at guitar and that I couldn't fill either role of a rhythm player or lead player.
It's not
and
true.
Then so I just defaulted.
A little bit, Robert.
and then so I just defaulted to bass, and it's worked out pretty well for me.
So much more.
He's actually sick at guitar. Don't let him say that.
I feel like you're probably better than all of us at guitar. You're just being humble. Yeah.
He's sick.
I love that backstory because I've heard it from other people. But I believe your bandmates that you're probably an excellent guitarist, Rob. But speaking of guitarists, I'm going to call you out next, Dexter.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, so I took piano lessons as well as a kid. And I did the typical classical music and conservatory stuff and all that. My dad was a classical guitar player as well. He played more like flamenco and classical and stuff like that. And I just knew from the age of about 8 years old that I wanted to play guitar and not piano. Eventually just kind of switched to guitar and took it more seriously when I was about 16. And then, a bit later in life, I played in a bunch of heavy metal bands, death metal bands, black metal bands, things like that. And I played for some progressive metal bands as well. And now, we're doing this thing, obviously, Apogean, which is kind of like a mix. I mean, there's elements of like tech death and progressive metal. So it's sort of like a blend of all of that stuff. So kind of, a good fusion of all the backgrounds of our past and all that.
Right.
So,
I would have to
Yeah.
agree based on everything I've heard. Gabriel, you are up.
Nice. So mine is very similar to Rob and Dexter. I had a very strict Catholic Brazilian parents that forced me to play piano when I was a kid. And then I really, like, when I think I was 11, my friend at school started taking guitar lessons at the same studio. I took piano lessons, and then I felt like a huge nerd. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to play guitar too. And then jealousy brought me to playing guitar as well. And then I played guitar for basically was just like an antisocial kid, and I just would play guitar all the time because I didn't really like dances. I remember everyone grinding against each other at school, and I was like, fuck this, I'm going home. And then after that, I just really I just kind of just played guitar, and then
social life.
Yeah, I fucked the social life, and then I just like play guitar, and then I would start I started playing drums on my MIDI keyboard, and I would set up like a mic to my MIDI keyboard and record that, and then record songs. So like just throughout my life, I was recording and trying to write songs on my computer. And then I moved to Brazil because my parents like banished me to Brazil because I got in trouble. And then I spent my time there playing guitar as well because I had a girlfriend that would get mad at me for playing guitar. So I kind of did that out of spite. And then I got back to Canada and I started just taking guitar more seriously. Like I went to business university for business, and then I dropped out because I figured like I was spending all my time writing music. I wrote like a couple of songs. Actually, that was like after I have like a band, Ure, that it's like an instrumental band.
Wait, I'm sorry. I didn't know that's your band. I'm a huge fan. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Just saying, I just recommended them to a couple people the other day, but please continue.
Shit.
I can ask you about that.
Yeah, so I started that band, and then I worked with like Evan Sammons from Last Chance to Reason. I don't know if you know that band.
Yes,
so
excellent band.
We became like really good friends, basically like joking around saying like, oh, he's the Last Chance to Reason is like Metroid to what I am to Final Fantasy. So we kind of like had that connection, and we just kept working together. And at that time too, like I was a huge video game nerd. Like the reason why I play music is because of Final Fantasy. So now it still is, but it's not as much now. Now it's just like to make a living. But I met Connor Hill a while ago, like when I was 16 or something, and he's like a big YouTuber guy. So I became friends with him as well. He was the vocalist on the Ure stuff. And then jump forward to now, I recently joined Jahari, and with him, which is like going back.
I know that's his band, but I didn't. Oh, I'm learning so much right now.
Yeah, he asked me to join when Kyle left because he was working with me on the Ure stuff. So it was kind of like, let's redo the Ure EP. So yeah, the new album we have coming out has the Ure EP all remastered and remixed on it. Just if you want it, like not shit vocals on it. Sorry, Connor, if you're hearing this. But no, he'll attest to that. Just like the vocals had some weird shit going on with them. Like it's not his fault. It was just the mixing. So basically. Yeah, and then Dexter came, like I met Dexter, I think, through my band Ure. I think that's how we kind of met each other because I went to a Toronto Prog show. And then I'll make a long story short because this is already long as fuck, but I met Dexter, and then Dexter's like, you want to be in this band? And then, yeah, now I'm in Apogean as well.
Wow. Okay. I will come back to all that because now that I'm looking at your name and I feel really stupid and I go, I definitely have seen his name and I'm like, where do I know that from? But I don't want to skip over Spike though. I will come back to this and ask you some more questions probably.
Sure.
But Spike, last but not least, how did you get into doing vocals, particularly these types of vocals?
These are actually rather recent. I will admit, I do not have the lessons and the planning and the schooling that the rest of these gentlemen do.
Okay.
Which is kind of like the wild card of the whole event, which is awesome. But it started with bass actually when I was 14 and graduated to guitar. And then much like Gabe was talking about, I wanted to make songs. So in came the MIDI drums, in came to this, in came to that. Couple of years of that, start talking to Dexter over Facebook. Bam, we're here. It's a small story, but like, bam, things happen quickly when you want them to.
Wow. And you saying that too. Well, Dexter's kind of the fulcrum on which a lot of this band hinges, it sounds like. But I mean, I also have to shout you out, Dexter. You were my connection here. You reached out to me because I met you at a Toronto prog show, despite me living in another country and 6 hours away. But
That's great.
yeah, I have to say your progressive metal scene in Toronto is arguably my favorite more than my own here in Pittsburgh almost. I mean, everybody there is so nice. It is true with the Canadian stereotype. Everybody's very friendly and welcoming. But I met Dexter seeing Intervals, I think. And so it's just wild how really, truly small this end of the metal world is. It feels like everybody kind of knows everybody. And I don't know. I find that really fascinating, but that's cool that it sort of like looped into you guys forming this new separate project from all of your other things.
That's badass.
It's funny you say that about the Toronto music scene because, like, as someone from here, like, I don't, or well, I'm not from here, but like someone who the only scene that I know is Toronto, right? Like, to have that outside view is nice to hear. So thank you. Yeah.
No, yeah. You're welcome. And I actually remember, I remember that show and stuff, like going there and just feeling like I could walk into that venue and it didn't matter. It felt like it was right up the street from me. Like it didn't feel alienating at all. I mean, it was cool to be like, oh yeah, I drove here from America, but it just, it was just super welcoming and I had such a blast that night. And I'm already like thinking about, when I can go back, but do you guys even have your borders open right now? I actually don't know the answer to that question.
I don't think so.
No, we don't.
Gray matter.
I think you have to do 2-week quarantine. I think businesses can do it. I know that like at my regular day job, we've had people come in, but they got a quarantine for like 2 weeks in a hotel, basically.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Not messing around.
Yeah. I would say do your research. That's what I would say.
I know I haven't gone to any shows yet here stateside, but they're coming. And so I imagine I'll have plenty of other Canadian bands on my list that I'll get to see at some point. But I digress. Thank you for telling me a little bit about yourselves and how this came together. So Apogean has really only been a project for not that long, correct?
Like a year or two?
It's been a few years, yeah. There was a few lineup changes too and all that. So it's been a couple of years, yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Into Madness, the new release coming out, that's really kind of what you're treating as like, this is your official debut kind of, right?
Yeah, this is our first release of anything for that matter. Yeah.
But you guys have, I'm sure you have demos and other stuff, right? Because I was like, there's got to be more out here, but no.
Well, the demo for Into Madness dates back to like we haven't changed the song too much, really. Like, back to like, I don't know, November 2019 when I joined the band with Dexter. And like, that was like our, first track. So that's coming out at the end of the week, actually on Friday.
Ooh, okay.
But yes, we do have some demos for new stuff. It's a pretty hush-hush right now, but it's sounding pretty good.
Well, I'll shift the conversation towards the new material now that I know a little bit about you guys individually. But with Into Madness, I know there is a cool little write-up on your Bandcamp about this. It's kind of describing a story of the fall from the heights of sanity to the very depths of madness and all that can be experienced on this journey. So how do you write an album that encompasses that?
Bloodborne.
Yeah.
That was a good question. Play a lot of Bloodborne, read a lot of books. Realistically, yeah, it's based on the Cthulhu mythos, kind of loosely. And it's essentially that. It's pretty much exactly how you described it. The story goes from front to back. It's just like, here's where we are, here's where you can go. Deal with it. How you deal with it individually is kind of how each listener is going to take that.
Fair. Yeah. How did you guys like come to that concept as a group? And was there anything going on in your lives that sort of led you to choose that as an idea to write about?
I asked them one night.
There's a personal connection.
What should our album be about?
I feel like there's a personal connection that each one of us has to the songs, but like the lyrics, I think mostly are all Spike.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I was gonna say, I know sometimes it's not unheard of for other band members besides the vocalist to write the lyrics, but I was gonna ask that next, if you did most of it, Spike.
I did, but I would actually like to turn it one more and be like, it'd be interesting to hear why everyone else thought that was a cool idea. I obviously think it's a cool idea.
Well, I might want to add something to that. Like, I think with the pandemic and everything that's been going on, it's been nice to have an outlet of angrier, more aggressive music. So thematically and like lyrically, that was definitely Spike. But the idea of having something a little more intense and a little more obscure and ominous, I think kind of fell in line with the way that I was feeling, or the way that maybe a lot of us were feeling, as I'm sure everyone was having a very difficult year and all that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was fucked.
Yeah, it was fucked.
I feel like even like
I must add one thing right at the end. Sorry, but I must add one thing right at the end. The story does not come to a terrible close. Like, there is resolution for the character in the end. Like, that's the part that's interesting to me about the rest of it. It's like, yes, we're falling from sanity all the way through, but like the end of it, which I will leave because it's not out yet. Like, hear the whole story, then wonder why it's worded and such. I guess would be, from the lyrical person, would be how I dangle it.
So you have a lot of like cliffhangery type literary devices, because I haven't read the lyrics. I've listened to all the singles that are out, but I haven't read them to follow along.
I got the interesting chance, thanks to these guys, these lovely people in my band with me, to write an intricate story all the way through an EP. So yes, there's all kinds of crap that happens.
Yeah, and if I can chime in, like, I feel like in terms of the song, like what I brought to the table, it was just like, I've been going through a lot of insanity stuff in my head, and it's not like I even think about the lyrics, but it was just like a way to let out the more like heavy stuff, because I wanted to do like way heavier stuff for my projects, but it never really was like working out. Like, I don't know, I feel like the heavy songs I did for Yuri were working out, but when I met Dexter, I was like, man, this is sick, actually having members that are all like playing together. So I can't say for the lyrics, but in terms of like the music for like the parts I wrote, like Chrono and Vacuous, or not the end of Chrono, but Chrono and Vacuous, is more just like my own struggle. Like, I feel like Chrono was more when like the earlier song I wrote, so it was more when I was feeling like just like energetic and pissed off. And then Vacuous was more like, okay, I still want to be uplifting and also throw in that like progressive, like more positive vibe, I guess, like Final Fantasy vibe.
Yeah, and again, bringing this full circle, now that I know you're the guy behind Yuri as well, breaking the fourth wall here a bit, but like people listening, I don't know if I've brought up Yuri on the show before, but I would kind of describe it as like, yeah, kind of this atmospheric, lush Final Fantasy metal kind of project. And to me, it's very evocative, and I can definitely hear some of those same elements in the Apogean material. Like, that's why I was very pleasantly surprised by it, because I think even as a technical death metal listener, so much of it can get extraordinarily stale. You're hearing a lot of the same sound combinations. It's just kind of exhausting, you know, when everybody's mixing their stuff the exact same way, blah, blah, blah. It can honestly be tiring to listen to, and it could be a huge turnoff. And I think this material, that freshness and those little like extra layers of stuff really shine through. And I would say that's got to be a testament to all 5 of you guys working very, very well together and bringing your own style to the table, I guess.
Oh yeah, the collaboration process is just like the best. Like, especially like I feel like Rob is just like the man. But I don't know, Rob is just like the most solid person in terms of like taking something and making it the best it can be. I guess everyone too, but I'm just shouting you out, Rob, because I love you. I'm not hiding it anymore.
Say, Rob, you're very quiet. You seem like the humble, hardworking guy in the corner.
I'm very quiet. It's true.
The man is a rock. He is a rock, ladies and gentlemen. A rock.
Strong silent type.
So what is that extra Rob sparkle that you give to the rest of this project? Could you summarize it?
I mean, I feel like I'm just there as I feel like my role in a lot of things is support. You know, it may not be the lead role in a lot of the writing parts or collaboration parts, but I'm there to basically support everything. and also to just kind of like, you know, I don't know, try to hold things together, try to keep things lively, keep things positive. I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know, there's a part of me that's very, I guess maybe it's humble, but it's definitely like a part of like my self-esteem just isn't quite there. So I don't think like I'm amazing, particularly at anything musically, but I try to, you know, make up for that with anything else I can do, whether that's, you know, playing the bass or I don't know what else, to be honest. I made some videos, I guess.
Okay. Staying humble, but you know, that's you got to be a counterpoint to the musician ego, I guess.
I guess like trying to provide input on a lot of the stuff that may already be written, you know, like I'm honestly not doing that much of the writing. A lot of that's coming from the other guys, but you know, I'll have my input here and there.
He's our voice of reason.
Yeah, honestly.
He's keeping you from falling into madness, as you might say.
Absolutely.
Oh.
That's a good one.
Played.
That's a good one.
Another point about that I think I had a very, very stressful job, and that's sort of what inspired me to write just like the angriest music I could possibly come up with. So, and that was before the pandemic. That was just like that was just my job was just super stressful. So I think that's where I think you can kind of lose your mind from working like, you know, too hard or a job that's too stressful. So
were you at least like able to be out of the office for your stressful job during the pandemic?
Yeah, I was able to start working from home, which has been better. And I actually work for the same company as Jacob. Sorry, I'm going to call you out, Jacob. But
our job sucks.
Chiming on that.
It's okay. Laugh through the pain. It's all right.
I'm living in Spain without the S.
Nice.
Oh no. Well, I mean, you know, you at least have a positive from all this is that you're releasing this killer EP from all your pain and stress. But you know, no good art comes without pain, as they say, I guess.
Pain, yeah.
Well, let's talk about that writing process, because even though I'm like now I'm in a band and I'm in a beginner band, it's still kind of mind-boggling to me that you can write stuff. Like even writing simple songs to me is hard. I don't know how you guys put together stuff that is so technical and so like interwoven and has such intricacy. I just don't logistically get how you do it. So how do you do it?
I feel like I just like kind of am a selfish writer, honestly. And I just like write and then I'll like keep updating everyone. And then I'll just like, I've always just kind of gone with like the go with the flow. And I have to have like the inspiration for the song to just feel like it's already there. And I'm just kind of like, I forget what movie they say it in, like the statue's always there. I'm just chiseling away the stone.
Yeah.
So it's important to have a good workflow.
Yeah, just the workflow. I feel like just like so many
Swear
years
that
of
was
doing it.
Michelangelo before it was a movie, but yeah.
Like so many years of just like of writing music, it just became like, I don't know. It just, especially trying to write the weird stuff. Like, and it's not that I listened to it growing up. I grew up listening to Jay-Z. So like at one point I started listening to like Killswitch Engage. So like I came from metalcore to this. So I just tried pushing myself out of metalcore. I think that, again, then just let the song write itself. But I feel like it's way better when it's all a collaborative effort, which I think we're getting better at for the newer stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of the earlier songs, it would be very much like, I also sort of have that philosophy. It's you can't force a song. Like usually inspiration will come kind of randomly, but oftentimes, say I'd have like a riff idea and then I'll kind of work on it and add some other riffs and this and that. And usually along the way, like in the demo process, I'll usually send it along to the band just to show like what I'm working on, because I'm like maybe stoked about it or whatever. But yeah, it is usually a process of just, writing demos and sending stuff digitally back and forth, especially within the last year. I think, maybe in the future we'll try to write some more stuff in person. But we'll see.
Yeah. I think an interesting thing is that we've only all been together in a room like a handful, like maybe literally once.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a room, guys. It was the outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the photo shoot.
Yeah.
COVID, with the blue backdrop, that really cool picture.
Yeah, like
it's such
totally
a good
loved
picture.
having everybody around.
But yeah, more recently we actually started jamming as like just partial members. Can we say that? Is that COVID friendly? But anyway, yeah.
We've been kissing each other on the mouth.
Oh,
During lockdown. Oh no!
We built a bubble first, man. Like, come on.
Tongue, everything.
But yeah, like we've had like just jams where it's just like myself, Jacob, and Spike, and sometimes even just me and Jacob, or sometimes just Jacob and Spike. But I think it's because we live like closer to each other. The other guys are a bit further away and stuff. So yeah.
Dexter, I have to ask you this in particular. I saw that incredible Ernie Ball guitar you got the other day. That like insanely limited edition one. Have you gotten to like mess around with that yet? I mean, I'm sure you're like, I took it out of the box. Like, is that going to be on new stuff? Are you going to be using that for this project?
Yeah, so I've messed around with Ernie's balls before. But no, this one.
God.
Leave out Bert, don't you? You got to leave out Bert every time.
So, but yeah, anyway, like in the past, I played some of the older JP models, and they were used a lot, especially for the progressive metal stuff. More recently, I started playing the Jason Richardson signature model 7 strings, which are phenomenal. I really like those ones. Those are like my main guitars right now. And then, just the other day, someone made me a trade offer, and I got that new, it's number 12 out of 98, but it's a super limited edition JP15 7-string, and it's Ernie Ball Family Reserve.
How much was it? I'm just kidding.
I know this is an audio medium, but if I can describe to everyone listening, it looks like, what is that, a 7-string? I think
it's a 7-string, and I think it's around like 5,000 Canadian new, but I got it on a trade, so it was like, I didn't spend any money on it essentially.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a guitarist, but it is gorgeous. It has that really pretty, like, cool purple sheen to it, and I'm gonna make myself sound stupid because I know guitarists are like, it's burl rose wood with the blah blah blah, and like,
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I have one guitar, and that's all I have.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That makes you probably unusual in the prog world, because it's like an unwritten rule. The more heavy and complex your music gets, the more gear you must acquire. That seems like it's the trend.
I've always been like... Sorry. I was just going to say, like, Misha is always like, use what you got. So that's what I've always, like, my philosophy. But
Exactly. No, yeah, exactly.
Misha has like every guitar too, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's totally true.
Misha Mansour has practically like created Gent. So I guess he kind
guitar
of
you got
knows.
from this collection.
No, but at the start he uses the Focusrite Scarlett, and that's all. Like that's what I have, and like I got my first pair of monitors like a couple years ago, and I just like have this guitar that's just like I have a 6-string that sucks and I never use, but I've never been. It's because I hate setting up guitars and I hate all that stuff. So like if I have one guitar that's set up, I'm good, but I hate changing strings and stuff. So I'll just deal with this.
Nice. Well,
Mhm.
that's actually that I could kind of spin that into another more general question. I tend to ask people, sort of what some of your philosophies are on creating music, or kind of why you create it. Why you find yourself being a musician at this point in your life. But I guess the bigger question is, are there any particular philosophies each of you have on creating, whether it's music, art, poetry, or whatever?
I have to.
Yeah, I think it's just like an analogy to life, honestly. Like it's just like it's peaks and valleys. Like you think you're getting good at writing and then you realize that you have so much more to learn. And I feel like I just want to be always learning in my life. And if I'm always writing, I'm always improving my writing. And I feel like I'm always satisfied when I'm improving in some way in my life. So I feel like for me, it's just like moving forward and just getting better at my craft and loving.
I feel like we're all extremely neurotic, and that's why we're together. Very we must get better at this, like super ADHD. I don't know. I feel like we're all share that similar quality in this band.
We're trash.
Wow,
Exactly.
I
We're
literally
trash.
could not relate more. So good job, guys.
Yeah.
What else do you have in your rafters that you'd want to share with other people?
Play Bloodborne.
Oh man, yeah. If I keep it EP specific, I would say play Bloodborne and read the Cthulhu mythos.
Okay.
Otherwise, just artist to artist, to everybody out there, I'd say just take in as much as you can. Experiences, art, like books, TV, whatever, because you never know what's going to spark your interest to create something new. You never know what's inspiration. None of us ever does.
Yeah.
So just take in whatever you can, as much as you can, as often as you can. Like that's what I would tell people.
Kissing.
Maybe stop at that, but otherwise, like, be smart about what you take in, but experience wise, go for it. You never know.
Right.
I'd say Effortless Mastery is like a book / meditations that is written by like this jazz piano player, and I forget who's. I think Brody from what's the
Brody
band?
Clark?
Brody Clark, yeah, he sent it to me a while ago, and I was like going through some like writer's block, and he sent it to me, and it's basically like 5 meditations that like bring up your confidence with music. It makes you realize that like you are a master, like you are good as long as you don't overthink it. Because that's the thing, like whenever you're overthinking, it's like you're not doing good work. When you're not overthinking, when you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna write whatever, that's the best stuff. When you still have like that critical self-criticalness, I feel like there's a line of like, obviously it's good because I made it, but I still got to be critical of my own work and know that there's like, I don't know, you don't know what you don't know. So like, obviously it's difficult to say.
Are you guys a cat band or a dog band or a both band?
I would
I got a
Snakes,
dog.
thank you.
A mix.
Mix. Okay.
You're one of
I
those
would
weird
say
motherfuckers.
mixed pet band.
I used to be a dog person
No, I'm
because
one of
I
those
have a
weird
German
motherfuckers.
Shepherd, but now I'm a cat person for sure.
Huh. Okay. That might
I
be a
will
question I
say-
throw in the mix.
Cats are
Cats are
cooler.
the
They
guardians.
climb.
They are the guardians of the underworld. I will definitely give them credit.
No, man. Every cat has the potential to be good. You just got to play with it. People
Cats are
don't,
great.
This is
People
what I'm
don't
talking about.
realize.
The view of the EP
Cats are
can be
great.
like all kinds of shit. Same thing with cats.
Jacob knows cats.
I used to have cats,
Well,
but
meow.
they are the guardians of the underworld for sure, and they will turn on you very quickly
Bro,
if
I
you
think
don't.
metalheads
Yeah,
and
but they'll
cats
also
just
guard
have
you
like a
from it.
special connection, especially like I think it's like the more black metal the dude looks, the more cats he has, or
It is
Exactly.
Friendlier
absolutely
cats.
true. It is absolutely true. I
Fucking
Alex
I know-
Terrible gets home and he's like, "Come on, Chaos! Oh my god!"
Probably.
Such is life, that the scariest looking people have the softest, friendliest animals. Before I lose my train of thought, though, I just remembered something. Before we started recording, one of you guys was like, "Oh, do you have a Fallujah shirt on?" And yes, I do. I also own that the Fallujah like Demon Cats T-shirt. That's what made me think of this. So yeah, that's what made me think of it. But really, this is my long-winded way of asking: what was it like working with Zach Oren to get your new EP mixed and mastered? Because I know he has worked with Fallujah in the past.
Oh, it's badass.
Amazing.
He's just a professional and fucking sick guy. He's just like unreal. And he made our stuff sounds like so much better than it was. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah,
he literally took it.
A lot of our favorite bands, actually. Like, he worked with the Zenith Passage and like
Antios.
Yeah, so many people. But just like, yeah, we had a couple test mixes before, and then we ended up with Zach, and we couldn't be happier. So, yeah,
worth money. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, we got Evan to do some stuff on it too. Actually, Evan from Last Chance, he did the drum editing on some of the songs, so I had to get him involved somehow.
Wow. Yeah, I guess Zach just has that special touch, honestly, because I know without a doubt Fallujah is my favorite band that's kind of in this world that you guys are living in. And I think a huge reason for that is just that sparkle, that atmospheric kind of grandiosity to it. And maybe that's why I really took to the singles off your EP as well. They just sound they kind of put you in the place of this crazy world you've created. And maybe that's just the music, maybe that's Zach, maybe that's everything.
Honestly,
he really took it to like a next level. Like, it was like we had the EP and we thought it was great, and then we sent it to him and we were just like, "Oh my god!" Like, you know
I made this.
Yeah, wow.
And Fallujah is a big inspiration, like for my writing personally. So I can see why. Like, I've tried to make the music emotionally dense. I feel like that's like what Fallujah is. It's like, even though it's heavy as fuck, like they have all those amazing ambient sections with like, I forget the name of the singer that sings sometimes for them, but those are my favorite parts. Like whenever it's like female vocals over like super crazy tech death, and just like the emotional parts. Like, I don't know if you've seen the vocalist that did all those female vocals. I'm saying female
you're
vocals.
probably talking about Katie Thompson, because I've interviewed her on my show. I'm actually very good friends with her.
Oh my god, I want to do a collab with her for your race. So get me in touch, please.
Katie, listen to this. I will hook you two up. I'm always like trying to push her out on other projects. So
yes, I've been wanting to get in touch. Yes, my life is made. Okay, bye guys. I'm just kidding.
No, but yeah, Katie's extremely talented. I think she lent such a great sound to Fallujah, and then Tori Letzler was the other vocalist. I don't know a lot about her projects, to be honest.
I don't either. I know Katie because I know she did the version, like a piano version of all her vocals, and I have it on my phone and I just listen to it like every day. It's so good. It's like the most beautiful thing ever.
This is the most Tapestry podcast moment ever, because I know all these people in the prog scene, and then I know Katie and her other projects, and like we've gone to shows together. I've like stayed at her house before. Like we're we're friends and stuff. And she's like always like, "Can you just like stop telling everybody about my bands?" I was like, "No, never," because it's great. So I will make sure that collaboration happens, or I'll at least send the email. But that's pretty wild. No, but Fallujah is kind of, to me, like in a class all their own. And that is so cool that you got to work with Zach and really just let him kind of dial it up. So I can't wait for this EP to come out. And then I want to see all the people who listen to Fallujah and similar stuff just move their way over to you guys. So that being said, are you getting like new release jitters? Are you, is there anything you're kind of setting an expectation on for the release? What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, it's all about like, especially now with COVID, the industry has changed so much. Like I've seen it with, especially Jahari, like we have to just be consistently releasing music. So it's kind of a fine line of, we have to, like, we obviously, all of us love music and love the art side of it. But right now it's also like, people are so like attention deficit disorder with music. They can't listen to two, like, and it's all streaming now. So it's like a stream single game. So I feel like after this release, we're already planning on just more and like,
no
keep
break.
going. Yeah, no breaks. Just keep hitting songs because we got to just abuse that Spotify algorithm.
Well, don't worry. I'll add you guys to lots of playlists, so I'll contribute my 3 streams.
Well, thank you
3
very
streams
much.
every day.
Yeah.
Every stream counts.
No, I do kind of dislike that seems what a lot of bands are pigeonholed into nowadays. They, you gotta put singles out. You have to captivate people's attention. And at least for me, I'd love to know your thoughts on this, but it's like, it really does feel like the bar just keeps getting set higher and higher, and the attention span keeps getting smaller and smaller. So you have to do twice as much working and marketing and promoting just to get the same reach that you would maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah. There's also not like a lot of like shows or tours going on right now. Some promoters have reached out and said that shows might resume as early as September, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, that'll come when it comes, I guess, in due time.
I hope so. Yeah, I think you guys are on a little bit different timeline than we are here in America. But I mean,
Ontario's the worst in the world.
I don't think anything's opening up by September, buddy.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Ontario is the worst. Like, I think it's the longest lockdown in the world, or in North America.
No, in the world.
No.
In the world, yeah. Fucking
Jeez,
retarded.
I'm sorry to hear that. I knew you guys were a little behind on the vaccines, but I didn't know it was like, hey, keeping you inside for a lot longer.
I did say do your research before getting it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that gives you more time to write more music.
Oh yeah.
Always.
Oh yeah.
I've been getting ready for this my whole life, staying inside.
Exactly.
Going back to the release idea, though, I'm pretty sure I speak for all of us when I say that, like, we're just really happy to finally get the entirety of it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure. We've been sitting on it for so long.
We've been sitting on it for a bit. It's been released like in teasers, as you mentioned earlier, cliffhangers. It's just like, from my aspect, I just want the bloody story out there. I'm sure for the rest of the other guys and their individual inputs and their creative, aspects of this product we now have to give out, we're all just happy to finally be able to give it in its entirety as we created it.
This is the first thing that's like official technically that has my playing on it. So I was very like keen on getting it out even before 2021. But like I said, like these songs are like 2 years old in some cases, or older, like finished 2 years old. So yeah, it's insane. It's like a great weight lifted off our shoulders.
I'm sure. Yeah. And Jacob, were you, forgive me if you said this earlier, but did you come into the band later?
No, I actually came in before. It was me and Dexter, and then Gabe came into the picture, and then Robin's. I can't remember what happened yesterday, but something like that.
I believe I was last.
It was Rob, and then Spike came in recently, and then we recorded the album and released on June 11th.
Nice.
Yeah.
Friday.
We're in the future. Well, people will be hearing this after it's out. So
hell yeah.
Sure.
It's true.
Yeah, I hope you dug it. It's sick.
Yeah, dude. I'm sick of it.
What is a tense, people? What is a tense? Past, present, future. What are we? Who knows?
There's more coming. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's even cooler.
Into madness. Here we go.
What is coming after that's cooler? What can you tell me about what's after this?
More complex stuff.
There's some
more
music,
complex.
More.
And it goes like, and then there's the drums are like, and then the guitars go like, you know what I'm talking about? It's sick, dude.
Yeah, totally.
No, it's
Just
I don't know.
more.
I think we're all just getting used to working with each other, and that we all are getting used to how we like me personally. Now I know exactly what Rob is capable of, so I know I can just throw anything at him. Right, Rob?
You can do it. I will execute perfectly.
Bring Rob back into
And you'll play it in one take and embarrass me.
I got to play it one take, guys.
But yeah, like even though like we took our time with the EP, we wanted to make sure it was mixed and released properly. And I'd like to obviously mention Blood Blast Distribution, who is our they're like our label, who's basically helping us release it and all that. And even just the fact that we wanted to have a solid plan on how we were going to release it. So we took our time of it, but we never stopped songwriting. So the whole time we have like almost like an album's worth of music, all in demos, of course, but we have a lot of tunes to follow up with after the EP as well. So
Yeah, I feel like we finished all. I think by maybe end of summer last year, we finished all the recordings, and I feel like we probably got our final mix and master by the end of 2020, and then we just very patiently sat on it while coming up with the game plan, which is pretty crazy because
I can't imagine that
weeks and weeks where different like each one of these guys are like, I just want to get it out. Why can't we just release it? And then, I think I'm very proud that we were all able to hold out on it because we really came up with a plan. I mean, with the help of Blood Blast as well,
and our manager
to figure out a game plan for release. And I think in terms of like,
Shannon.
Shannon.
Shout out to Shannon.
Thanks, Shannon.
Shannon Martin's managers for she helped we should organize stuff and all that. And she's awesome.
Throw a last name out there.
I think it was tough to hold back all the stuff, but this is probably the smoothest release of a thing I've been a part of, where we really had the time to prepare things and really like think out how we're going to release things, how we're going to market stuff. So I think that really helped.
Do you think having that really good experience is going to give you guys a more solid foundation for how you're going to do your next release? I imagine the answer is yes, but I'm guessing you learned a lot through this process, right?
I feel like we're aiming, I think, probably to work towards like a longer album worth, but I guess we kind of touched on that, like the whole thing of the single release. It's always interesting which way that's going to end up going. Mm-hmm. I find because definitely, people's attention span and probably the push from whether it's distributors or labels, it's always like, you should go with a model that is kind of following that, like release a single every month or a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that can work for a shorter EP like what we released, but I don't know if that's going to fly for, let's say, an album.
It's hard for tech death, man, because it's not like we can just be a band that does covers as well and be like, okay, now we can just do a couple covers and shit.
Hey, now Allegiant does that very well.
Do they?
That Subdivisions cover.
Yeah,
that Subdivisions cover is awesome. I will help shout that out.
Yeah, they've done a couple Rush covers.
Oh, fuck, we can then. Let's do it.
I feel like fans and tech death.
Look at that tonight, man. That is a good cover.
I feel like fans and tech death, they want albums though. Me personally, I'm an album guy. I'm not a fucking single guy. Like it's not pop music. It's not fucking rap music. It's tech death. It's fucking death metal. People, they want to fucking put on an album for like an hour, go to the gym or something. It's metal.
It is.
Well, it's like we talked about with the ambience, right? Like these people clearly put together, whoever it is, whatever band, clearly put together a product that's meant to be chewed in so many pieces. Otherwise, it would just be a single.
Yeah.
I want to know what that entirety is.
I would imagine though that even our next release probably is going to be a full length album, but there would probably be a couple singles at least before the full album. And
Gabe mentioned earlier peaks and valleys. There's nothing wrong with that, but I still stick to the idea, much like Gabe and Jacob mentioned, that just like albums, the entirety is there for a reason.
Oh man, I used to think like exactly like that. Well, I still do. Like I love albums personally. I'll buy albums. I never listen to Spotify. I never have any streaming services, and I just love albums. But it's like such a small percentage of people like that actually buy them. Like I feel like even me, like I say I love albums, but I don't know the last time I bought an album. I feel like Archspire, I've been digging them a lot, but I just listen to them on YouTube. So I guess I'm kind of guilty of the same thing. So I feel like hopefully we can like actually, I just hope the industry starts changing in a way that like Spotify starts getting paid more so that we can actually like push more on Spotify or stuff.
But you took the next question out of my mouth because I could see that's where the conversation was going. I always ask my guests, what would you change about the music industry or kind of the ecosystem? And I think you just answered it. I mean, most people, I do feel from interviewing them all, totally agree with you.
Well, right now our industry is built on touring, merch, and things other than record sales. Like since the fucking 2000s, pretty much, since Napster, like everything's been going downhill. But I don't think album sales really are a thing anymore.
No,
Like,
not at all. Because no one can support them live. So what's the point of buying the
Exactly.
album? Like, what? I can't have the merch to like go and wear it at the show. So why am I going to do it? Like,
why would I buy an album when I can pay $7 to some dickhead in Sweden and listen to every song I want forever for free?
exactly, and get paid like 0.00 cents on it. Like,
Yeah, fuck that.
Well, I will just say, like from a top down view, I do find it interesting that streaming services, I mean, they're terrible but great in other ways. Like they do kind of maybe more organically connect people to other artists based on algorithms and stuff. But we all know, yeah, that means jack shit when it comes to actual dollars for you guys, which sucks.
It's good if you get a lot of streams, but like even with like, I feel like I've never gotten as much streaming as I have with like the new stuff I've released with Jahari. Like some of the songs are almost at like 100,000 streams, but like I haven't made that much at all. Like me and Connor split 50-50. I've made like $50 1 month, the most I've made. So it's like,
wow.
It's still like, it's so much work to have such a little amount. So like, I feel like the industry is going towards quantity and quality at the same time, but like you have to have just a lot of stuff. Cause like if you make $30 on each song, you're going to have like 20 songs out to make a decent amount. So it's all about just building that passive income and just keep growing that passive income so you can continue to make more songs and then it just keeps growing.
It's never ending, really.
Oh yeah, it's stressful.
No, I always wish I wish there was a more positive answer to that question, but that is pretty much in line with what most people answer when I ask that. Simply, I just feel like I wonder when the bubble's going to burst, but it's not like in the 50s where you had these record execs sitting in the back of a room watching, discovering Elton John or Elvis Presley and being like, yes, you're the next best thing. They're certainly not going to be doing that for technical death metal. No offense. I mean, it's,
no, none taken.
The modern day musician needs to be kind of like a jack of trades, like especially in our genre. Like you need to record yourself, write yourself, not necessarily mix yourself,
video editing,
all your own content. You've technically, if you want to be even realistic, to stick up to that day-to-day kind of content grind that you need to do nowadays, because the attention span of the normal, person on Instagram or whatever is like fucking 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But to keep that up, you have to be able to do that yourself, or you're spending unless you're like a fucking rich kid or something. But
it's like a lot of money, because if you're not, it's just, or just find a mixer that charges like not that much if you give them a shitload of songs at once.
Well, and I almost feel like it kind of trickles it down to the listener in a way, because like, the conversation we had about Fallujah and, I know the vocalist and, blah, blah, blah. And I always try to recommend her band. It's like that little interaction that does have the potential to spawn off new listeners, but like the degree that you have to kind of shill people's projects for cents on the dollar the effort just never seems like parallel,
No.
Like I know, like I'm a big fan of Johari as well, Gabe, and I've done that as well, where I'm like, oh, you got to listen to Johari, they're so good. And it's like, for the millions of times I've done that, I don't know how many dollars that has equated to. It's
probably a lot for Connor and the other guys.
Yeah, so sorry, but like it's weird to see that happening, where you guys have to put in all the creative work and then also somehow do all the marketing and then somehow hope that you get real fans that make a real connection with your artistry and are thoughtful enough to pass it on to other people they think might like it. And then you still might not really come home with a huge check at the end of the day.
I just think people,
it's lit.
I just think people need to realize that like, you're not going to make money for a while. Cause like, I started Yuri in 2014. That was like when I started making money and with finger things in the air, because like I think I've probably put in like $12,000, $13,000 in Yuri, and it's like, did I make all that back? No, I probably made like $1,000 back. But I feel like if it wasn't for me doing all that stuff, I wouldn't have joined Johari. I wouldn't have had Apogean. So it's like, obviously, like you just got to stick through it. Like if I would have been thinking about the money that whole time, I would have given up a long time ago. But it's just like the passion for it is what drives me. Mm-hmm. And I just know it's going to go well, because my mom told me I was the best. So
way to go, Mom.
Yeah.
Way to go, Mom.
Just to add to that point, in my past experience, we always made more. Well, my previous bands, we always made the majority of our money from live shows and merch and things like that. But since the pandemic, I actually shifted my focus to cinematography and photography to create my own content and also to help with content for the band. And I think that's just to add, like, not only do we have to now, do our own music and our own like advertising and PR and like, you have to be your own label, and I do everything nowadays. But in addition to that, I think having a presence online and content creation is a big part of that. Because, if you're not making money from the band and you want to pay for like music videos and cinematographers and photographers and all that on top of that, it really adds up. And it's great if you can do that yourself and be self-sufficient in that regard too.
Right. Have you guys had a chance to do much touring? The only thing I really know in terms of your touring history was I did see on that podcast interview you were on recently that I think you guys played a show with Red Handed Denial before, who I'm like a super fan of. So way to go on that. But I want to hear all the other stuff.
Well, so I was in a band Afterwake with Rob, and Rob's still in Afterwake, and we played some shows we played a show with Red Handed Denial, and it was part of a tour, I think. Was that part of a tour, Rob?
I don't remember.
We did a tour. I think it was one of the shows of a tour, if I'm not mistaken, but we definitely did a tour with Earth's Yellow Sun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, great band too.
Yeah.
At least one of the shows was Red Handed Denial. And actually before that band, I also played in Clear Skies with Rob. And yeah, those bands, we played a couple of shows, like smaller tours, like Montreal, Ottawa, places like that. Mm-hmm. I also played in Bastilla, or I'm still technically in Bastilla, but that band, we did a small tour as well, which was just like Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, like stuff like that. So nothing major. I had like an old band from a long time ago that did tour and play in the States and stuff like that as well. But yeah,
I toured once, but it wasn't really a tour. It was kind of just like every weekend we had shows. And the only big thing we had was like Intervals, Pliny, Save Us from the Archon, and Angel Vivaldi that I opened for, which was really sick. But Pliny did not make it. Like,
I remember that tour.
Yeah, we played in Hamilton on that, for that. But Pliny did not make it, so I was really upset about that. And then I was really shy the whole show. Plus, I was like super fangirling with Aaron Marshall, and I could have been just like a bro with him and made a connection. But I was just like, at the time, I was just so shy, and also the people in my band were like psychopaths. But I haven't played that many shows. Like I my first show ever going to a show was me playing the first Ure show. So I haven't even like been to shows. Like, I'm telling you, I was sheltered growing up. So my first show was me playing.
Apogean, guys, you got to drag him out of the house some more. I want to see live or something.
Invite me to the jams. Just kidding.
Yeah, I think Pliny made it to the Toronto show on that tour because I was on the Toronto show, and then Earth's Yellow.
Angel Vivaldi didn't make it.
Yeah,
it was
Angel Vivaldi
Earth's
made
Yellow
it to
Sun.
ours. He was sick. I gave him a hug.
So
that's why I was so confused. Like,
that's the Toronto show, but then Earth's Yellow Sun filled in for them.
Yeah. I think that's the first time I saw them.
This is just so crazy that I'm just some chick sitting in my office in Pittsburgh right now, and I know all these bands, and I've seen most of them live, and like the Toronto scene is just always has really amazing shows, and I'm jealous of some of the tours you get. But
you're in Pittsburgh?
I'm in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Save Us from the Archon actually was a local band here in Pittsburgh, and they were
sick as fuck. Oh my god!
I believe their one guitarist grew up like 3-minute drive from my house.
I've been to Pittsburgh a lot of times. I have some family friends there. I've been on that like the big like river thing, like with the big bridge, and I've been to this farmers market there, and yeah.
Well, I always say this. I feel like because I've gotten to meet so many people through the Toronto scene, I'm always like, yo, crash on my couch. Like if anyone's, that offer extends to you guys as well if you ever make it down here. But it sounds like I'm guessing that once things start to reopen up there, you would want to start getting on shows and stuff with, I'm sure maybe some of your idols. Like, what would your dream tour be like if you guys could tour on a larger scale?
Well,
oh boy.
If it were me personally, I would probably I would love to tour with the Zenith. I can never say that name. The Zenith Passage.
Yeah, great band.
Sick.
I'd say the Black Mages, the Final Fantasy cover band, because I want to meet Nobuo Uematsu.
That's a real band? Okay.
Yeah, the Black Mages, dude. They cover all the Final Fantasy songs, but make them metal. It's actually sick as fuck.
I would maybe
Nice.
want to tour with like Black Dahlia Murder and fucking rage with them.
Ooh.
That would be awesome.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
I feel like Trevor would be a real fun dude.
Oh, dude, I've met Trevor and Brian. I smoked a joint with them. They're fucking sick.
Nice.
I hope that happens for you guys someday. I really do. I'm going down my list, and before I get into some of my wrap-up questions, I just wanted to give you guys the platform to say anything else you want to say specifically about Into Madness or the band in general that I didn't ask or that I didn't cover. If there's anything, you know.
We're only growing. We're humans. We're just growing, like getting better at writing, getting better at working with each other. And I feel like we're just like, there's a big future ahead of this band. And I think that we're going to try to push the boundaries of what we can do and hopefully blow people's minds a little bit, or just like, I don't know, make people think. Like, I want to just, like, one thing I've been trying to do recently is try to write songs with the intention of like what I want the person to get out of it at the end. So I just want like people to be, even if it's tech death, I want to be able to spread positivity. I know that sounds super lame, but I want to do that in all my bands if I can. It doesn't work as well with tech, but still, I feel like Vacuous is a good example of like an inner struggle of like, even in the music and the lyrics, they kind of like, I feel like it's a good mix of like, the music is getting uplifting throughout the whole song, and then the lyrics are also, because I feel like the end is like way more like, oh, believe in yourself type of shit.
So I feel like the music that we released, like we're releasing here, is going to be kind of outdated to represent us as a band at this point. Like it still represents us, but the music that we're making or is in the process of being made now is it's gonna blow your ears off. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
It's fast. It's gonna blow Jacob's arms off.
It's fast.
Oh, dude. I'm working out, dude, to be able to record this album. If that tells you anything about how to sustain this.
Oh,
Same,
God,
man. I need to learn everything.
Spike, is there a chance that the new material follows a story arc of the character in Into Madness, or is it a completely separate thing?
Honestly, I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Which leads into the fact that I haven't asked the guys that yet. Like, I'm not sure. It sounds, what I can say without giving anything away is it sounds like maybe it could. But that's a conversation for later. That
can be an interview after the next album, maybe. But no, that's good. I like that you guys are leaving things open, but you clearly sound really, really excited about the new stuff. And yeah, I wanna follow and see how this does, because I mean, honestly, the tech death, prog death world is so goddamn competitive. It's crazy. Not that I think music should be a competition, but you know what I mean. I think so. You know, I think you have some great stuff going for you, and I hope it does make you stand out, and I hope it does reach people's ears positively. Yeah. So I have a couple wrap-up questions for you all, a little bit more general. I've loved stealing this from other podcasts, but I have to ask you all, if you had a chance to sit down with any artist, alive or dead, and ask them a question, who would you choose and what would you ask them?
Wow. Oh boy. It's a tough one.
I would love to sit down with Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth.
Ah, yes.
And I'd just like to have a tea with him, or a coffee, or whatever he drinks, or maybe a beer.
I couldn't agree more.
I'll be lit.
He's such a good dude. It's funny as hell.
That's such a hard question.
Or Devin Townsend.
Cool. Good choice. Yeah. You know, Opeth has their own beer, right? I don't know if you can buy it anymore, but
really,
they released one. So
nice.
Yeah, maybe he's drinking his own beer.
I don't know about that
one. That's a hard question. Jesus. I think someone from one of the Final Fantasy composers, either Nobuo Uematsu or Masashi Hamauzu, but I would need a translator as well with me. So they're not dead though, so it's okay.
What would you ask them, do you think? Everything, probably.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd even ask them anything. I feel like I would
Just watch
want
them.
to just watch them or be like
Senpai, notice me.
yeah, exactly. Or I just tell them to listen to my music and see what they like, if they would give me any tips to get it better or something.
I'm just imagining you as like an anime character, like little blush cheeks, like oh
Kawaii.
oh.
Oh, I am an anime character. I'm just kidding. I love anime. If anyone listening to this likes anime, they're cool. Like Death Note, especially. Boom, best anime ever.
I'm waiting for the movie to be written about your life. It's gonna happen.
I hope so.
Or you're gonna write a Death Note progressive metal album. I'm required.
I already ripped off Death Note in the Yuri album, so there's a part that is like super like the L theme.
I'm gonna write a book about Gabe's life.
Oh, okay, sounds good. Who hasn't answered it? Rob, Dexter, and Spike. I think
I'm gonna go with I would like to hang out with Dimebag Darrell. I don't have any questions for him, but I just want to hang out with him. He seemed like he'd be a really cool guy to hang out with.
You seem like it'd be wild.
Yeah, we'd probably like drink some beers and play some riffs. You know,
I'd be like Yangbei, and Yangbei like, I don't want the fucking donuts. That's all.
I'd probably want to hang out with Justin McKinney and just like pick his brain and talk to him about his writing process and what it's like playing with Surruption as well as like the fill-in guitar player as well. And
Wait, he's doing that?
Oh, he's a fill-in guitar player for Surruption? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he is.
What the fuck?
oh, what's his primary band though?
The Zenith
Okay.
Passage.
He was in the
him.
face
Okay.
list for a little bit, like for
Everybody was in the face list at one point, right?
Exactly.
Like the two bands that he plays in are basically like my two favorite bands. So, I'll be the fan right here and say that I would love to. Also, he just seems like a really nice guy, like super funny and like, it just seems to be really chill. So that's about it.
Okay.
What about
Spike?
I would like. I think it was Jacob already called it, but like I would want to sit with Devin both in the SYL stage and post, like if at all possible, and just ask mostly why. Like unabashedly, no judging, no nothing, just why.
Yeah.
Just to be there to ask why. And then get that answer and then pop forward to like, let's say current Devin and ask again, why?
Why?
No judgment, no nothing, get the answer and then like be like, all right, I'm satiated.
I think Devin Townsend is such an incredible guy. He is so strange, but like in a good way. I will say I have a friend local here who his band opened up for, I think it was Devin Townsend Band or whatever he was touring with at the time. And he like ran into him outside the venue and Devin was like alone, like no one was talking to him. So my friend just like got up and just had a chance to just chit chat with Devin Townsend for literally like 30 minutes. Like he said it was just the greatest thing ever.
That sounds so cool.
I'm like, why was no one talking to Devin? He's a freaking creative genius.
Anxiety.
And like, I guess in your guys'
Probably
case, he's
took
like
a
a
moment
Canadian icon. Like
You guys are gonna hate me right now, but I'm not a fan
hiding.
of Devin Townsend.
I'm not a big fan of his music, but I'm a big fan of him and
him as
his
a person.
impact and everything. Yeah, like it's not my preferred style, but I think he's a great person.
But for him and Steve Vai, there's the one song with Steve Vai that he's in that's so good. I forget what it's called, but it's super sick. He was the vocalist for Steve Vai, by the way, if you guys didn't know.
He was backup vocalist.
Yes.
He was very like charismatic live and just made like hilarious jokes and stuff like that and like crazy like stage presence. But I am not like a huge fan of his music, unfortunately. But
yeah, seems like a great dude. Well, if you guys thought that question was tough, then you won't like my last one. But I always ask it. So
bring it.
If you could only listen to 3 albums for the rest of your life, what would they be and why?
That's easy.
Oh, okay.
Damn, so easy.
No. Well, if I were to pick 3, I kind of go in stages. I happen to be like pretty obsessed with Surruption right now and the Zenith Passage. So if I were to pick 3, it'd probably be Cosmic Dissonance by the Zenith Passage, Planetary Duality by the Faceless, and for Surruption, actually Engineering the Void.
I'll have to check it out. I haven't even heard that. I'd have to say, this is kind of cheating, but I'd say the Final Fantasy 12 soundtrack, the Final Fantasy 10 soundtrack, and the Final Fantasy 13 soundtrack.
God damn.
Because I listen to those every single day, and I have for like years, and it's like, sure, I like heavy music, but there's stuff in the soundtracks that's heavier than like anything. So I almost would say Meshuggah, like a Meshuggah album, just as like a, in case I'm in the heavy mood. But no, I know that if I had to choose 3, the Final Fantasy soundtracks would be like my
that is commitment.
Oh yeah, I just want to meet them. Like a couple of months ago, I messaged like Junya Nakano, one of the composers for Final Fantasy X, and he actually emailed me back, and he listened to Yurei, and he's like, "Oh, this is the exact type of music I like. I don't want to add anything to this." So now I'm just like,
you can die happy.
Yeah, I need to get into Square Enix now. So that's my goal.
I'm manifesting that for you. I hope it happens.
I hope so. I feel like first it's gonna be the Katie Thompson.
Yeah.
collab.
I'll get you guys collaborating, and then you can move on to Final Fantasy.
Boom. Deal.
I would say
have
Ocarina of Time soundtrack.
Yes.
For one of them. Probably Language by the Contortionists and Colors Between the Buried and Me.
Those last 2 albums, I probably statistically have had as answers from more guests on my show than any other albums.
It's fucking so good, man. Those are
classics.
Classics.
Language is like fucking life-changing, man.
It really is. I still sometimes can't get through that album without crying, even though I've seen it live. I've, listened to it a million times. It's truly a masterpiece.
Oh yeah.
And we got Rob and Spike, I believe.
I'm like trying to figure it out. All right. I'm gonna make a attempt at it. I'm gonna go with A Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
This one's gonna sound weird, but I don't even know how to say her name. I think her name is Sarah Bareilles.
Sarah Bareilles, I think.
Yeah. I forget what her first album is called, but I really like that album.
I'm singing her main song like in my head now.
Yeah. And then maybe that one. And then I'll go with A Vulgar Display of Power.
Nice.
Wow, those are 3 extraordinarily different albums. I love it.
Wait, who's the vulgar? Who's that by? I don't even know what that is.
Pantera.
Oh,
Pantera.
Dude, I grew up with Jay-Z and fucking Kanye West, bro. Like, Linkin Park was my gateway into screaming music.
That was mine.
Yeah,
that was mine.
It's life-changing.
Wow. All right, Spike. Did you get your third?
I did. I would have to go with Opeth's Watershed, Tool's Lateralis, and just the Phantom of the Opera.
Wow, I like that mix. That is cool.
In totality, that's it.
You guys have a very diverse spread here.
Very
a lot of prog.
a
lot of prog. Yeah, a lot of
prog and video game soundtracks. Man. Okay, well, that's typically my last smacker of a question, so you can all agonize over it. But it seems like you guys knew kind of right off the bat, so that is cool. And honestly, I'm going to do my best to get this episode all ready to go for a quick release right after Into Madness comes out. So, thank you guys for sharing your time. I enjoyed talking to you all, and best of luck with the release. And I'll make sure to spread it around. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Send me a request on Facebook.
I will. I will. Again, thank you. I enjoyed this, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your night.
You as well.
Thank you again.
So much.
Cheers.
All right. There you guys have it. That wraps up my interview with Apogean. And by now you should figure out that I'm pretty stoked about this EP, Into Madness. By the time you're listening to this episode on a fresh release on Tuesday, it will have already been out for a few days now. So go stream it, go buy it on Bandcamp. And for your convenience, they have a nice little Linktree link, just like I do for the show. So if you want to go find all their stuff on every platform at the tip of one finger click, you can go to Linktree /Apogean. That's APOGEAN. It's linktr.ee /Apogean. As always, thanks for listening.